Good morning and welcome to Property, Home Building News and Analysis. My name is Nanaya Ochirebia. In this African Home Building and Property News Analysis segment, we will be looking at rental issues in Ghana, especially some controversial issues relating to landlords. My first question to you, my viewers, is, do we really have rough landlords in Ghana? Well, I cannot have an answer to this question, but my colleague Sandra spoke to Mr. Emmanuel Posu, the PRO of Ghana's Rent Control Department, on the topic, protecting renters from rough landlords. Let me introduce you to our sponsors for this interview. This interview is sponsored by Lamond Finance. They are an online money transfer company operating in the United Kingdom and the United States of America. If you want to send money to Ghana, Nigeria, and other 14 African countries, they are your best bet. The housing market in Ghana is difficult enough for Ghanaians to steer without landlords and letting agents who behave immorally, at times leaving tenants living in appalling conditions, despite often paying sky-high rents. Ghana is currently facing shortage of rental units for its desperate tenants. Demand for quality and sustainable units is hard to come by. This and other related issues prompted this interview. Kindly stay tuned and listen to this informative session with the PRO of Rent Control in Ghana, Mr. Emmanuel Posu.
Good morning, Mr. Emmanuel Posu.
Very good morning. You're welcome.
Thank you. I hope I got your name right.
That's great.
Congratulations.
Emmanuel Posu.
Okay,
yes.
Wow, that's nice. Congratulations once again on your award.
It's all by yourself. If you don't expose me, nobody would have known me. So I dedicate to Property Express. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for making time out of your busy schedule to have this interview with me.
It's a pleasure.
Our theme for today is about rough landlords and their tenants and their impacts on them. So as the Communication Director for Rent Control, can you please brief me about your role?
Okay. So as a rent control, our role has been stipulated under Section 5 of the Rent Control Act.
Okay.
That's the Act 220.
Okay.
And the first on the list as our function is to make sure any grievance that come between landlords and tenants, they are reported to us for us to take initiative to see how best we can solve it. So this is a nutshell, the role of the Rent Control Department. But specifically, the first assignment by the Act is to ensure we conduct what we call assessment. Assessment is where rent control under application by landlord, tenant, or anybody interested in any property who apply for the premises that is under rental to be determined against the rent that has to be paid. So the assessment is where we come in, look at all the things you've used to determine the rent. In the Act, is referred to as recoverable rent because you can recover it almost all the time. It's not a one-time recovery, but you can recover it anytime. The second mandate under the Act is to investigate any complaint that is brought before us and then make determination. So when we get any complaint, we invite the parties, conduct investigation, listen to both parties, and make determination.
So I want to know if both parties comply as demanded.
Yes, so under Section 4 of the Rent Control Law and other sections under the Rent Control Law, it's an offense when you are served with a summons from the Rent Control Department and you don't adhere to it.
That's right.
We can take you to the magistrate and then you'll be punished as well. Just like the police, court, when you get a summons from the Rent Control Department, you have to adhere to it. So landlords and tenants, they adhere to it. We call them complainant and respondent. So when you complain, we give you a summons to be given to the respondent and they comply. Some few people think it's a joke, but in that case, if the first time you don't come, we had police, we send a letter to the police to accompany the complainant to come and serve you the summons. And in all those cases, none of them has refused to come.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
want to also know if there are any fines attached to this summons, if
Yeah.
they don't come up.
Yes, it constitutes an offense, and the penalty under the Act is 100 penalty units or to 6 months imprisonment, but that has to be determined by the magistrate.
Okay.
Okay, so continue with our mandate. We also have the right to register landlords and register prospective tenants.
Okay.
In case of the landlord, we register the vacant premises.
Okay.
So the law has mandated us to register those. We also to examine landlords and tenants or anybody interested in any premises if they are complying with the laws.
Okay.
Okay, so we can come to your premises and find out if you have issued tenancy agreement, if you have issued receipt,
Okay.
if you have issued rent card,
Okay.
even if you have paid your tax,
Okay.
and even if you are collecting rent in dollars. Okay, these are all offenses under the Act. So it's our mandate to examine landlords and tenants and make sure they are complying with this. Again, a magistrate or a judge can refer a case to us if it's a rental case. This means that the police has no right to go directly into rental cases.
Really?
So people who, when there's any rent issue, they run to the police. It's not the correct process. Most of the police commanders and officers refer those cases back to us. So this is an education that it's not anything that you run to the court. If it's not criminal or in a way a civil case that the police can initiate, any typical rent issue should come straight to the rent control department, unless there are criminal aspect of it or there are human right aspect of it that you can go to strike. Okay. But if it's typical rent case, you have to come to the rent control department. So in a nutshell, these are some of the activities that we do at the rent control department.
Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Kosu,
yes.
As Ghanaians, we all know that the housing and rent unit or the rent market is difficult to stay.
Exactly.
Most landlords and rent agents take a sky-high amount from their tenants.
Exactly.
As Director of Communications, I believe you've met with a lot of landlords in the country. I would like to know if there are rough landlords in the country.
Okay. There is mesa everywhere. Yes, we cannot say we have genuine landlords or genuine tenants. There are rough landlords. In the same way, there are rough tenants. Okay. So we meet a lot of them. So I can say that we have some. Kindly
brief me on the criteria for determining a rough landlord.
Okay. So the only criteria we can use is that there are laws that governing this rental housing industry or business. So if you are not going in accordance with the laws, then we can determine you as a rough landlord, because you are not to forcefully eject any tenant from your premises, even if the person has committed any crime or offense under your care. First thing you have to report, there's a process you have to follow. You report to the rent control department for us to do investigation. But if you forcefully eject any tenant, from your premises, then we can term you as a rough landlord. If you demand more than 6 months rent advance from a tenant, go to the extent of taking 3 years, 5 years. Whilst the law says that if it's a long tenancy, you are not supposed to take more than 6 months rent advance, we can term you as a rough landlord. So these are the criteria we use to determine who a rough landlord is.
So I want to ask, what are some of the safety measures implemented by rent control to safeguard the interests of these renters as regards to their deposits?
Okay. In the first place, we've intensified our sensitization program, because we believe that if the tenant knows his or her right and stands on it, the landlord will do the right thing. Because if you know your right and the landlord is coming out with some agreement that does not suit the law, then you can inform or prompt the landlord. And if the landlord refuses to abide by it, you just report to the rent control department. So the first issue is that we've intensified our sensitization program for tenants to know their rights and their responsibility, and even the landlords for them also to know their rights and responsibility. So these are the measures we are using to empower those tenants.
How effective is this sensitization program you're talking about?
It's been very effective. Very effective in the sense that now a lot of landlords, though the number is still very minimal, a lot of landlords have started charging monthly. Some are charging 6 months maximum. There are a lot in the system who are still charging 2 years. And we believe it's out of greediness. Because you build your premises and you want to put all your problems on it. We know that in the housing industry, it's a long-term investment. You cannot build your premises today and expect that within 5 years you recoup your money. It cannot work like that. So you cannot put all the burdens on your premises. So this is very effective. Gradually, Ghanaians are beginning to understand that these are the laws. We understand that since 1963, there hasn't been any major sensitization program compared to the last 3 to 4 years. So a lot of landlords are now beginning to understand the law, likewise tenants.
Does rent control have any database regarding this sensitization or regarding this program you are talking about?
Yes, there are a lot of achievements we've made. Since 2016, we've been able to, based on your media houses, both print and then electronic media, we've had a lot of invitations to come and talk to the public through their medium, and it's been very effective. It's been very effective. So there's a database. We have a statistics that is covering that. I don't know. We have a yearly magazine that we produce through the Ministry of Works and Housing, where we send those information to them. So it has been a very successful program.
So, sir, are there any compensations allocated to these renters if they fall victims?
So the law states. I will just give a scenario. You go and rent a premises. When you move in, there are some other things you have to do. Probably the landlord has no money to do. So based on the agreement, the landlord will give you the authority to do those things. And then most of the time, they add it to your rent. So if that happens, and in a case or something happens that you have to move out from the premises, the law demands that the landlord should compensate you on an interest based on Ghana Commercial Bank interest rate, which is calculated on the money that you are left with. Because the idea there is that if you're going to get a loan to come and renovate or improve somebody's premises, you may be paying interest. So if you may be paying interest, where you've put the money, you should get the interest from there. So the law demands that when certain things happen, and it's mandatory that you have to vacate the premises, an authority, it's not the landlord who will determine the interest rate or the tenant, but he has to report to the rent control department or the magistrate who will determine how much interest should be. So this is a form of compensation that the tenant is supposed to get. And again, if you've gone to pay as they are collecting 2 years and there's a need for you to vacate the place, again, you should be given some compensation because the money should have been used for something. Now you cannot get the actual money. The law does not give you the right to get an interest should be put on it just to compensate you whilst you move out from that premises.
That's fine. Okay, so what are some of the penalties meted out to these rough landlords if they come to your notice? So in all cases, it's the magistrate who has the right to emit any punishment on any offender of the act. But when you look at section 25, any offense that is committed, you are to pay a penalty unit of 100 penalty unit, which when we convert to cedis is 1,200. Or imprisonment of not more than 6 months. That is the general one. But when it comes to a specific offense of collecting more than 6 months rent advance, and you are put before the magistrate, you can be charged a maximum of 100 Ghana cedis, 100,000 Ghana cedis, or a maximum of 2 years imprisonment. Or if the magistrate likes, you will add those two, the fine and then the imprisonment, and then put it on your head.
So there are two categories. For general offenses, it's 100 penalty unit and then a maximum of 6 months imprisonment. But specifically when you charge more than 6 months, 10,000 cedis, and then a maximum of 2 years.
Okay.
Yes.
So as we've mentioned, we are talking about rough landlords, and I know some people are very stubborn.
Exactly.
So in case they want to frown upon the charges being placed on them, what then can you do?
Nobody's above the law in the country. Okay. In the first place, if you go contrary to the act, we put you before the magistrate.
Okay.
The magistrate can fine you. If you refuse to do, you know, before the judge, we are all small boys and small girls. Nobody is above the law. So you cannot go away from a punishment from the magistrate.
Right. Are there any enforcement measures that has been put in place by rent control to protect renters?
Yes, so our key idea or objective is for tenants to know their rights. Okay, we are doing the sensitization program, and we are telling them that if a landlord wants to go infringe on your human right, infringe on the laws that gives you those rights, quickly report that person to the rent control department. Reporting that person does not mean you are putting the person before a law court.
Okay.
Our mandate here is to promote peace and reconcile parties. So if you report a landlord to us, that will not give the landlords the authority to evict you, because the law even protects you that if a landlord is going contrary to the act and you report that person, it cannot stand on that to evict you. So this is the empowerment we are giving to the renters, as you mentioned, that if somebody is infringing on your right, somebody is trying to induce you, they quickly report to us. We'll call the landlord, find out from the side of that landlord and your side as well. Together we can promote peace and reconcile the two of you.
Okay. Yeah. So do we have major cases of this infringements upon rights by landlords in Ghana?
No, I wouldn't say we have major. You know, the issue we are having in the country is that we don't like paperwork. What I mean by paperwork is people go to rent places without demanding tenancy agreement.
Okay.
But that tenancy agreement is a basic document that will stipulate your mandate in the house as well as the landlord's mandate. I'm talking about rights and responsibilities. Okay, so if all of us knows our rights in that house, then when the landlord is doing something contrary to the agreement, when he refers to the agreement, he will know that no, this is not what we agreed on. Likewise, the tenant. But the law demands that you shouldn't cause nuisance and annoyance in the premises. You didn't use the place for immoral and legal purposes. Okay. It should be stated there that you should pay your rent.
Okay.
And then if you don't pay your rent after a month, it constitutes an offense that the landlord can come to the rent control department and then order for eviction. So if the basic agreement is there, I don't think we'll have those challenges. So landlords should make sure there are 4 basic things which we call the rent card.
Okay.
Okay. The rent card.
Okay.
Which copy is here? So this is the rent card.
All right.
Okay. So this is the first one, and then the tenancy agreement.
Okay.
And then we call what you call the receipt. Any payment in connection with the rent advance should be issued with a receipt. And then the last one of the card is the tax. So that any rent advance you take, you should be able to go to GRA and pay the tax, which is 8% if it's domestic, and then 15% if it's a commercial venture. So these are basic things that landlords should have, and these are basic things that tenants should demand. You should demand the tenancy agreement before you make any payment. But that's what the law says. Under Section 4 of the Rent Control Law, say after the agreement has been signed, the landlord is supposed to deposit a copy with the Rent Control Department for us to go through and make sure you are not going to infringe on somebody's human rights.
Okay.
And that the terms that you've stipulated under the agreement go in line with our Constitution, go in line with the Rent Act, go in line with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Okay, I mentioned charging in dollars. Yeah. If you stated there that you are charging monthly dollars, We have the Foreign Exchange Act 2006, that is the Act 723, which forbids any person in the country to transact business in any foreign currency.
All right.
You need to go to Bank of Ghana and acquire license. When you are given a license, you have the leeway to transact business in any foreign currency. But when you state in the tenancy agreement that you have to pay $SAT every month without a license from Bank of Ghana, it constitutes an offense. So that's why you have to deposit the tenancy agreement with the Rent Control Department for us to go through and make sure all your clauses line with our constitutions and our acts in the country. So this is the empowerment we are giving to the tenant. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're
so
welcome.
in 2 years, what innovation is in the pipeline for Rent Control Division?
Okay, we have a lot of anticipations. The first is the digitization of the Rent Control Department. We shouldn't have been here face to face like that. You should have been in your office with my big video here so that we can communicate and have video. So the agenda of digitization or digitizing the Rent Control Department is far advanced. A framework has been done already by the Ministry of Communication and Digitization. We are just waiting for funds for the implementation. And then the restructuring of the department as well. We are supposed to be in all the districts in the country. And then the passing of the bill, the new bill. We are reviving or reviewing the 1963 Act. All within the 2 years, as you mentioned, we'll have all these things. And then to make the department a very jealous department. I mentioned somewhere around 2 years ago that we are aiming to be the best department in the country. And we are championing it. We'll make sure we'll get there.
Thank you, sir. Please, any last words?
I just want to encourage everybody. We all have a role to play. As a landlord, as a tenant, as a department, we all have a role to play. To make sure the law works, it's a collective responsibility. Let's do our part. Shine or brighten the corner where you are, so that the entire country will be brightened. So this is a message I have for all of us.
Thank you so much, sir, for honoring this invitation. We are much more grateful
for coming.
Enjoy your stay in the Rent Control Division.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sandra and Mr. Posu, for that informative session. We are very grateful. And thank you, my darling viewers, for staying tuned to this session. You can visit us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and all other social media handles. For more news, please visit our website, www.propertyexpress.org. Hit the subscribe button and share our videos. Thank you and have a wonderful day.